Yep. I'm about to defend a Bears quarterback. But I'm still wearing a Packers shirt, so Bears. Right there. Grossi Posse Packer Nation. Welcome to the episode of Packcast, the podcast where I'm a Packers fan, but it sure does help. I'm your host, Tom Grossi, and, I feel like I shouldn't make this video, but at the same time, I feel like if you see a kid that smells really, really bad, but is also a bully, but also you hate, is getting beat up by a bunch of other kids, you should at least throw a rock in the direction of the group, hoping it hits somebody else and not the kid who's getting beat up. What I'm trying to say is the big, smelly, bully kid that you hate is the Bears in this scenario. And Mitch Trubisky is the one that's getting beat up. And I don't know, I got lost in my analogy, but here we're going to talk about the defense of Mitch Trubisky. Now, after Thursday's game, in which the Green Bay Packers, they went into Chicago Field and they kicked some Bear ass. That was great. A lot of media came out basically just ripping apart Mitch Trubisky. And I saw a lot of Chicago fans jumping into it too. Obviously, there was a lot of Packer fans and basically the NFL. All the fan bases were ripping apart Mitch Trubisky. And I feel like I have to say something in defense of the kid. Obviously, he is never going to see this. Obviously, Mitch Trubisky is going to make more money than I'm ever going to make. He's a big boy. He puts his pants on 2 legs at a time like everybody else. But as a Packers fan, when I see this kind of thing happen, and I think it's unwarranted, I feel like I need to say something. So, let's look at what Mitch Trubisky did on Thursday night. Now, obviously, Bears lost 10-3. These were his stats. 26 for 45, about a 57.8% completion rating, 228 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception, was also sacked 5 times. Okay? First note, they made Mitch Trubisky throw the ball 45 times. That is not Mitch Trubisky's fault. That is bad play calling, especially when you have a guy like David Montgomery who every time is touching the ball is finding some success. He's breaking tackles, he's making people miss, and they completely stopped using David Montgomery. So for example, with the 2 running backs that they were utilizing, Mike Davis and David Montgomery, they had a total of 37 rushing yards. 37. Cohen was obviously not really used in that. He was used in the wide receiver game. But, you can't fault the fact that the guy had to throw 45 times, which, it, Bears fans, he's not that kind of quarterback. That's not an insult to him. But the guy, when you were most successful, he wasn't throwing 45 times. It was because of your dominant defense, and it was because of your dominant running game. That's it. And Trubisky showed flashes of being great. He threw some amazing passes to Allen Robinson. 100%. But what's being talked about is how bad he is. But you gave him 0 support to work with. So for example, he got sacked 5 times. He got sacked 5 times on Thursday night. In 2018, he got sacked total 24 times throughout the entire season. That means that on Thursday night alone, he was sacked more than 1/5 of what he was last season, and that's 1 game in. So he's obviously getting hit way too much. And so in 2018, he played the 14 games, 289 for 434, a pretty damn good 66.6% passer rating, over 3,000 yards, about 3,200 yards, 24 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Not lighting the world on fire at all. But the way that the Bears have been now, especially last season, is Mitch Trubisky does not have to light the world on fire. And if you expected him to come in and be the next Aaron Rodgers, then shame on you, because then you don't know who you drafted. And what I mean by that is you can go and look at the 2017 draft. So, for example, when you look at the 2017 draft, right? Trubisky was the first QB picked because the Bears decided to trade up one spot, sorry. Even though he wasn't going to get picked, I can still make fun of you. 2 third-round picks and a 4th-round pick to trade up one to get Mitch Trubisky. Now, guys who went later in that round, Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson. Now, picked at number 10 and picked at number 12. Very easy for a Packers fan or any fan to sit back in 2019 and be like, what idiots, you didn't take Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. Sure, everybody can say that. I'm still ripping on the Packers for not taking Barry Sanders. But at the same time, if you look at the stats between those 3 quarterbacks, you should not have expected Mitch Trubisky to come in and be this amazing elite talent, just off the stats alone. So for example, Mitch Trubisky, out of those 3 quarterbacks, played the fewest amount of games at only 31 games. Mahomes had 42 games, and you had Watson who had 38 games. Out of his entire career, 386 completions out of 572 attempts. 304 of those completions came during his last season, which means that he only threw 82 times divided amongst the other years. Total, 67.5% completion rating, threw for 4,762 yards, 3,748 of those coming in his last season, 41 touchdowns total, 30 of those coming in his last season, 10 interceptions, 6 coming in his junior year, which were his last season. You look at Mahomes, who had over 850 completions, so more than double what Trubisky had, over 1,300 attempts, 63.5% completion rating, 11,252 yards, which is almost triple what Trubisky did, 93 touchdowns, which is triple what Trubisky did, and 29 interceptions, which is also almost triple what Trubisky did. And so Trubisky had very limited playtime in that he had a really great junior year, but really that's the sample size. And you look at Deshaun Watson, the 38 games, 814 completions, almost triple what he did Trubisky, 1,207 attempts, 67.4, so right around there with Trubisky, over 10,000 yards, a lot more than Trubisky, 90 touchdowns, 32 interceptions, both of those numbers larger than Trubisky. There was much more of a sample size with Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes. Both of them showed the big play potential. But Trubisky was a safe pick. Didn't throw a lot of interceptions, 30 touchdowns his junior year, 6 interceptions, threw for almost 4,000 yards, a very safe pick. You were getting a solid quarterback. Didn't really see a huge playmaker. And again, even if he was like a god in college with the big plays, his first year playing should have shown that he really wasn't that kind of guy. 196 completions, 330 attempts, 59.4%, 2,100 yards, 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, sacked 31 times. Now, obviously, he didn't play the entire season, right? Started at week 5. But, again, Bears fans, I feel like you knew what you had. In that the guy is making progressions and is doing better every year. But you cannot put the game on Trubisky's shoulders. The guy is only 3 years in. Now, you could be like Patrick Mahomes. He's a young guy too, so is Deshaun Watson. Yes. But it's never been reliant solely on Mitch Trubisky. Patty Mahomes got thrown out there last season and was like, go make it work. Obviously, they had a pretty damn good offense around him. Same thing with Deshaun Watson. Well, at least they had DeAndre Hopkins. Here, you are known for your defense. You are known for your running game. And so now all of a sudden we're shocked when Mitch Trubisky doesn't have an amazing game, even though he has more passing yards than Rodgers, even though he has 15 more attempts than Rodgers, and we're still complaining? So it was an ugly week 1 game. And I gotta say, I think Trubisky is going to do better. But, and this is a big but, you gotta help him. You gotta not get away from the running game and have 37 freaking rushing yards split amongst 2 backs. He should not be throwing 45 times. And so, I just wanted to say that because I think he's being unfairly judged off the ridiculously small sample size. They had bad plays going for it on 4th and 10 when they were in long field goal range. That is not Mitch Trubisky's fault. And it is not Mitch Trubisky's fault that this team traded a bunch of picks to move up to take him and now expecting him to be this elite quarterback. Who knows? Maybe he'll grow into that. I'm not putting that. But right now, where Mitch Trubisky is, he's kind of like a middle-of-the-ground QB who has shown potential, who has shown flashes. And if you thought that in week 1 he was going to show up and be a god, I mean, that's kind of on you for your really lofty expectations. So that's my defense of Mitch Trubisky. I think he's going to get better. But if he doesn't, you should have drafted Patrick Mahomes. I'm sorry, that's it. That's the only joke I'm going to make. That's the only joke I'm going to make. But give him time. Give him time. And we'll still kick your ass, even if we give him time. But let me know what you think down in the comments below. You can always find me at TomGrossiComedy.com or at TomGrossiComedy on all social media. See down below. Check out Podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, and of course the YouTube. And a big shout out and thank you to all the Patreon members over at patreon.com/TomGrossiComedy. You keep the lights on. But thank you so much for watching. I am Tom Grossi. And as always, go Pack Go.